Hi friends, it's Shuba. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome for the first time, and hopefully it's not the last time. I'm very excited for this video. We're just gonna do a few days in my life. June is over. We're in the last weekend of June. Can you believe it? Half a year is over. 2025 is flying by. In this video, I thought we could do a little bit of cleaning. We can do some planning. I mentioned in the last video that I had a Hobonichi walkthrough of my planner, but it turned out being blurry. So I'm gonna try to do that again, and we're gonna plan together. For the month of July, I created my own version of a 31-day soft, which we'll talk about. I will also be sharing my June wrap up and all of the books that I read. We're gonna just have a chat about if I recommend them or not. And then lastly, it's just gonna be a hot few days, but we're gonna stay cozy and we're gonna make the most of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna start off with some last minute cleaning pieces. I bundled this up with cleaning. Mark and I already cleaned the house this morning. You don't need to see any of that because I don't need to show you a dirty house. Every 2 weeks, I will water the plants around the house. So we're gonna water some of our plants. We'll start with there. Let's go. Wow, this natural lighting makes me look like I'm glowing from inside and out. I am an absolute angel. I thought I could share the books that I'm reading at this moment. This week, what I'm currently reading, that's what that means. I am listening to an audiobook and reading a physical book. The audiobook that I'm listening to is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is the second book after Every Summer After. Libro FM was having a sale for their members, and I am a subscriber, so I get one book a month from them. And all these books were maybe $2 a piece, $2 or $3. So I ended up getting all three of them so I could listen to them and read them before one golden summer, which I'm hoping to read next week. I don't have to read the second and third book before I read One Golden Summer. I really just wanted to read the first book, Every Summer After, which I ended up reading. I'm only 17% through Meet Me at the Lake. I can't say much, but I can tell that it is a summer second chance romance, and I think it's going to be yet again another emotional story dealing with grief and loss of a loved one. It's jumping back and forth, which I love that time jump so we can understand the characters better. I like it in this book, I think, more than Every Summer After, because in Every Summer After, we're jumping back to when our two main characters were children, and I just can't relate to that because I never went to the lake growing up. I didn't necessarily have that friendship, so I couldn't connect with our characters as much as I can now, since this is a story about their 20s and 30s. It's still giving those summer vibes, so I'm enjoying it. The main event of this video, though, is a book that I want to finish before July 1st because the book comes out officially on July 1st, and I was gifted both the ebook and the physical copy of by Saga Press Books. It is A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen. I am so freaking obsessed with this book, and I'm not even done with it yet. I am almost halfway through the book. I am on page 160. This book has a total of 470-ish pages. It's so dang good, and romantasy might just be back for me. Romantasy might be back, baby. It might be back for me. I recently read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and I loved that romantasy. And then I read An Ember in the Ashes by Subha. It's a YA romantasy. I think I believe, I'm pretty sure, and I loved that too. Gave both of those books 5 stars, and I'm happy to say that this book is doing it for me. It's so good so far. Since this book is brand spanking new and comes out so soon, I'll do a quick synopsis. Gosh, Mark, when you show up, I just don't know what to say.
Do I leave you speechless?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Mwah. This is a romantasy story about Nina and Patrick, and they're said to be fated mates. In this magical world that they live in, you are separated into one of two classes, a crafter or an artisan. Crafters are said to be more of those lower leveled workers, where artisans are upper class and they have the ability to use magic as well. And the highest level of an artisan is an alchemist. When you're 12 years old, you have to go to this ceremony where fate decides if you're either an artisan or a crafter. And that's what brings Nina and Patrick together, but also separates them apart. There's a revolution that starts between these two classes that both Nina and Patrick are a part of, and it's so slow burn, so good. I am obsessed with the world that we're in, and I love the magical elements that Stacy is adding into the story. It's very interesting, and I also just really like how political this story is becoming as well, especially in this fictional world, but it just seems so real and relatable to things that we can talk about today. It's slow burn, and I'm really enjoying reading from our two main characters' point of views as well. So far, I am intrigued. I can't put it down. I started this book yesterday, and I'm almost 50% of the way through. So that is a true sign. I am really enjoying Stacy's writing style. It's fast-paced, easy to understand. She also makes it so we just don't want to put the book down. I have so many questions and I'm finding answers to them as I read, so I'm just not confused and wondering too much. My eyes are not wandering. They're glued to the pages. Honestly, this book so far is giving me the same feelings that I felt when I was reading An Ember in the Ashes. It might be because I'm obsessed with our two main characters in this book, just as I was with Elias and Laia. Who knows? Get this on your radar. I'm already telling you it's probably going to be a 5-star for me. Those are the two books that I'm reading so far and getting at. I've been going back and forth between the physical book and the ebook. I'm always reading this book. That's all. See you later. In last week's video, I tried filming a quick walkthrough of both of my Hobonichi planners, and when I went to edit, everything was blurry. So we're gonna try this again. Second time's a charm. I have two Hobonichi planners that I've been using for quite a few months now, and I've really enjoyed both of them. This first one is a weekly planner. I originally bought it for my reading journal, but it turned out to be too small and I felt stuck using it. So I switched everything over to my Hobonichi Techo cousin, which was originally my life planner. So now this Hobonichi Techo cousin is my reading journal, and then the Hobonichi Weeks is my life, health, personal planner. I like to keep things very separately. I do have a 9 to 5, so I like to add any work pieces in here, life, health, and we'll talk about those, while this Hobonichi Techo is for my reading journal and then my social media content presence and planning for that. Keeping things separate helps me with balance. We're gonna start with my Hobonichi Weeks. This is my everyday life health tracker. I'm gonna show you the pages that I use the most. This right here is my step tracker. I just like to keep track of how many steps I'm walking every single day, just so I can monitor how much I'm walking. My goal this whole entire year has just been to walk at least 8,000 steps. So it's just nice to keep an eye on that. And there's other places where I track it all too. This is the month spread. I haven't necessarily found a way for me to use this yet. I feel like I'm just dumping a lot of my workouts and mileage onto here, which is fine. It's just another visual way to see how much I'm working out. I also sometimes put in specific events that I might have. Mark and I's 2-year anniversary. I had a game night with some friends, but mostly it's just been workouts and then miles. That was for June. This is for July. I just created a rough outline of the design. I need to go through and figure out what I want to add to this. Like I mentioned, I'm not entirely sure what I want to put, so I just left it blank for now. And then we get into our weekly spreads. I've been really enjoying the weekly spreads. I've finally found my rhythm of what I want to add to each page. So on this left side, it's just workouts that I have and any specific events or notes that I need to keep track of. This section right here is empty. It's going to be my step count. Again, I'll put my step count here, and then I'll also track any runs and mileage of those runs in these sections. So what that means is after my run tomorrow, I'll put in the mileage in this section right here. On the right up top, you'll see my habit tracker, just keeping track of specific things. This one is going to be for 31 Days Soft. So you'll see these habits for the next few weeks, and we'll get into more detail. And then right here is just going to be my miscellaneous notes section. Just any notes from the week, how I'm feeling, any reflections I want to add. And in the past, I can show you some things that I've done. I tried to do a meal planner last week. That didn't work. Underneath here, I had added pieces for work, which I don't want to share, so that's why I had this sticky note. To add some fun quirkiness to it, I did get a bunch of stickers from Amazon. I wasn't sure how I was going to use them. Moving forward, I will purchase from a local store or Etsy shop. I've just been enjoying getting a little bit creative and being okay with the permanence of stickers. A lot of the times, this is with clothing too, but I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna save this outfit for later. I'm gonna save this sticker for later, but later never comes. So when I work on these pages, and I'll show you my reading journal next, but I try to use 2 sheets per set or per week, just so I can use those stickers and I'm not just holding them back for a better day, which is silly, I know, but that's just how I am. Those are how my weeks go. These are all just blank pages in the back. We'll see what happens, but I love that there is just some empty space right here for me to utilize. That is my life, health, work journal, my Hobonichi weeks. I like it. It's cute. It's compact. I take it everywhere I go. It just makes sense since it's smaller. Now we'll get into my Hobonichi Techo cousin. This one is quite large. That's why I have a little clip so I can hold everything together. I really like this one. This originally was for my life and health, but it turned out that I had so much empty space and I didn't know what to do with it, so I changed it to my reading journal and it just makes more sense. You'll see why. I do want to share this page right here. I absolutely love it. I don't know who I got this from, but it was definitely another creator. I was just adding little photos from every single day. Any photos that I took on my camera roll, I'd print them out and put them here just to kind of look back and see what I was up to that month. I thought it was such a cute idea. I'm not sure how I would do this again because this is my reading journal, but maybe I can find a creative way to add more photos because I just think it's so cute. And then this is kind of where I started adding my books. I'm going to show you a better version. We'll look at June right here. So on the left, you'll see books and all of the books that I read in June, and each book has a color coordinated with it. And on the calendar section, I will highlight the days when I read the books. I think it's just a nice way to track to see how long a book is taking me. I know Fable can do that, but this is just a fun visual way. Ignore all the little notes. I tried to make this into a social media content calendar, and I hated the idea, so I'm not going to do that moving forward with July. I'll be doing the very same exact thing for July. I just haven't necessarily set this up fully yet. And then now we'll get into my weekly planner. We'll start with a few pages back. So this is really fun. I really like this spread, and this is what I was talking about with using up stickers. I tend to hoard stickers, but really just got myself to be okay with letting the stickers go and using them, even though they're so stinking cute. Like, look at this little bear monster thing. Okay, let's go to this week since we're already here. This is kind of how my weekly spread goes for my social media content calendar and planning. Think Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Those are the only 3 platforms that I use. So on the left side, I'll always put what I'm reading this week just to keep track of the books that I'm reading. And then at the bottom, I'll have a list of book reviews that I need to work on for the week to upload on Instagram usually. So up top right here above the squigglies, each day will have a dedicated content piece that I'm working on and planning on publishing. So today is Monday the 30th. I already published my Mixed Media Monday. It's where I talk about any media that I consumed last week, this week, and then next week. And I've been doing this series every single Monday, and it's been really fun and rewarding. Tuesdays and Thursdays are usually the days where I publish my book reviews on Instagram. So I have those there, hoping to finish A Forbidden Romance today so I can publish it tomorrow. And then Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are just whatever I want to, anything that I'm thinking of. This Thursday, I don't have a book that I'll probably be finishing, so I just did my mid-year reading check-in. It's a trend that's going on TikTok and Instagram where it's an audio trending voice and you just share some books based on questions asked. So I'll be uploading that on Thursday, and Fridays are always the days where I share my YouTube videos, and this video will be going up on Friday, July 4th. And at the bottom right here are just some notes for the week or things that I need to do just so I can put them in as a reminder as I'm going on for the week. I love how the spread turned out. It's very summer, and I was trying to go for more of a red, white, and blue theme for the 4th of July, and it didn't really turn out that way with the hearts, and there's a lot of blue, but it's just so cute. I really enjoy working on these weekly spreads and honestly just getting creative. It's just getting me to step outside my comfort zone, and I appreciate that. Now we'll get into my reading journal. There's just a bunch of empty space right here for whatever I want. So like I mentioned, my reading journal used to be on my Hobonichi weeks, and I pulled these books out, these reviews, these rating reviews out, and stuck them on here because I didn't want them to go to waste, and I just like having them here to look back at, even though it's just star reviews. So there's more of these. I had originally started a TBR page for May, and I ended up not doing this for June or July just because I was duplicating these photos, and I use the Canon photo printer. It's the mini. I can link it down below. So that's how I get these photo stickers from, and I print them from online, and I felt like I was doubling and wasting photos. This is just how my reviews look, and now it just makes more sense that I use this big Hobonichi rather than this tiny one because I wasn't actually writing reviews and notes for myself. So normally before I upload a book review on Instagram, I will write everything down, whether it's synopsis, quotes, the title, my rating, and any notes that I want to remember. And then I'll use this to type it up and add as a review on Instagram. I found this to be pretty therapeutic, especially when I'm writing things down. It's less structured, which is good for me. I'm such a type A person, and I feel like I'm constantly trying to make things perfect. But this is just a good reminder that since I do have such empty space, I can mess up, I can scribble around, I can utilize space, and that's what I'm trying to do. This is July, my July TBR. We talked about this in last week's video. This is where I'll start adding my reviews for the books that I read in July. That is hopefully a quick walkthrough of my Hobonichi weeks and my Hobonichi Techo. I've really loved this process. I can link the books that I have down below in the description box. They're a little pricey, but I find it to be very helpful, and I am the type of person who would jump from one planner to another planner to another planner and never finish the planner, so I just have a stack of planner, and I feel like I've actually found something that I really enjoy. Yay! A few videos ago, I opened up to you all, or whoever is watching, about how I was feeling physically at this time and how I just wasn't feeling my best self. And I want to do something about it. I wanted to create my own challenge similar to 75 hard or 75 soft, but change up the time constraint and change up what I'll be focusing on for the next 31 days. So I'm calling this 31 Day Soft. I've tried 75 hard too many times. I've started and I've stopped. I've also tried 75 soft before too, and I've quit midway through. I think I just need to start small, and I just need to build up those healthy habits and not have such a large time constraint of 75 days. When this video goes up, it'll already be 4 days into July, and I will have started this challenge for myself. And I plan on sharing my progress throughout the month of July within my vlogs. And if you're wanting to do this challenge with me, I would love that. I think that'd be so much fun. We could keep each other accountable. I will tell you my non-negotiables for my version of 31 days soft. For the next 31 days, so every single day in July, I plan on walking at least 8,000 steps. 8 to 10,000 steps is my goal. I'm going to be happy with just 8,000. I've noticed that 10,000 is just really challenging for me, and not in a healthy way. I feel like I was getting obsessive over walking 10,000 steps, and that's not healthy. I'm trying to build healthy habits that are natural, that I can move forward with after 31 days and kind of do every single day. My workout schedule right now is 3 days of running, 3 days of Pilates, and 1 rest day. So I've already noticed that I'm getting 8 to 10,000 steps at least 3 days a week. So as long as I can keep that up for those other 4 days, I should be okay. So that's my first. Get 8 to 10,000 steps a day. Have protein with every single meal. My goal is 20 to 30 grams of protein every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't get enough protein, and that's a problem. I'm a vegetarian. I'm not a pescatarian. I don't eat chicken. I don't eat fish. Strict vegetarian over here. So I want to be more mindful these next 31 days and get myself to actively think about the types of foods that I'm eating and get myself to make meals that are protein heavy, since I don't get enough protein, especially from running and strength training. I need to be able to build that up. I've been pretty good about my water habits and water intake. My goal is to get 80 to 100 ounces of water a day. 2 of these Owala water bottles. This is 40 ounces. So 2 min. Above that, wonderful. I mentioned a few times that I'm always reading something. I'm either physically reading a book or I'm listening to an audiobook. I want to make it a goal for myself that for the next 31 days, I'm going to listen to 1 podcast episode, whether it be Today Explained, whether it be the daily, something informational that is relevant to what's happening today, so I can get some news in me and I know what's going on. A lot of us at this time want to disassociate from the media and from news, and I 100% get that, but I want to be more mindful and intentional about the news. I think it's important that we still stay aware and we know what's going on every single day. One podcast episode of some sort, whenever it may be. My last goal for 31 Soft is going to be to read one nonfiction book throughout the month. Maybe I sprinkle in a few pages here and there before bed. I read a lot of romance, a lot of fantasy, a lot of fiction. I don't read nonfiction. I want to be better about that. I want to read books that make me think. I want to read books that inform me of something. I'm going to go to the library at some point and we'll pick out a book. This 31 days soft is not only going to help me be better physically, but I also want to be a better human being mentally and emotionally. And holistically, I am hoping that by the end of these 31 days, I'll just feel better about myself. I need to find another adjective other than better. The new and improved, not the new. I don't want to be new. I want same Shuba. Same Shuba, improved Shuba. How about that? So those are my non-negotiable goals for every single day for the next 31 days in July. I'll share my progress. This should be a challenging but doable challenge. I think it's going to be great. And the fact that it's 31 days isn't as daunting and isn't as scary to me. Let me know if you want to do this challenge with me. In the description box, I will write down my goals for the month and the non-negotiable things that I must do every single day for the 31 days of July. This video is already long, but I did promise a reading wrap-up of all the books that I read in June. I want to start incorporating these wrap-ups into my monthly videos because if I don't, I could spend an hour talking about all of the books that I've read, and I need to find ways to shorten things down. So we're going to try this out. I read 11 books in the month of June. I DNF'd 3 books. We're gonna go in categories. Instead of sharing a synopsis and then my review, I'm just going to share my review and if I recommend the book or not. This is going to be short and sweet, and we will carry on with our day. We're gonna start with romance. Square Space by Alexandra Romanoff. This book was gifted to me by 831 Stories. I definitely recommend if you want something really short and sweet and something that has substance. This is the second book that I've read by this publisher and I've been pleasantly surprised each time. This is going to be an enemies to lovers second chance romance that takes place in a small town. I feel like these are stories where you're just removing the fluff and you're getting to the point with the romance, with the character development, with just moving forward, and that's what I really enjoy about something like this in Square Waves. In my personal opinion, I think that enemies to lovers can be difficult to feel realistic, and it's done really well in here with the tension, with the banter, and just how our characters are written. I think it's done in a way that we can really see that they are enemies or rivals before they are lovers. If you're a fan of slow burn, then I recommend. Also, there is some political aspect to this story as well. So if you're into a romance that's politically driven in some sort, then this might be for you. These next 2 books I've already talked about, so I'm going to quickly touch on them. Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I solely read this book just so I could read One Golden Summer, and I'm really glad that I read this book. So I would have to say maybe it's not my favorite romance by far. I've learned from myself that I don't really like childhood character-driven stories. I love a second chance romance and a friends to lovers romance, and this is both of those tropes, but I don't like it when we travel back in time and we're reliving these childhood experiences. I'd rather have that happen when we have a time jump while our characters are still adults. And I got to see that in Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, which I also finished, and I personally really enjoyed that a lot more. I can see why Carly Fortune is such a beloved author. It's just that for both of these stories, both Every Summer After and Meet Me at the Lake, I didn't love them. It didn't give me that giddy feeling. I listened to both of these books via audiobook and I enjoyed them and I'm glad I read them, but they're not going to be stories that I think about. A book that surprised me and I absolutely loved was Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood, and I would say yes, I definitely recommend. I was really hesitant to read this book because I did not like Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and this book is the sequel in that series, I suppose, or that interconnected standalone. You don't have to read Not in Love before you can read Problematic Summer Romance. I think that it helps with the plot and kind of understanding the characters a little bit more. It was the perfect bit of fun. It was flirty, it was spicy enough. I don't like heavy spice, and that's why I didn't like Not in Love as much. I thought Not in Love was too spicy for me. This was the perfect amount. I also really enjoyed our two main characters, even though they had a large age gap. To me, that didn't matter because I thought that our characters really blended well with one another and they complemented each other. So if you're wanting a summer read, this is the perfect book. Look no further. Problematic Summer Romance is a book that I recommend. I loved it so much, and I just said that. One of the books that I DNF'd, unfortunately, is Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. I got maybe 100-ish pages, and I just could not pick the book up. I didn't care for our characters, kind of rivals to lovers, but forced proximity. I really wanted to like this book, and I didn't see our characters connecting with one another. I didn't see that tension. I didn't see the romance that was sparking. That's all I can say since I didn't finish the book. I have one true crime to share, and that is The Secret History of the Rape Kit by Pagan Kennedy. I was gifted this book by Vintage Books, and I surprisingly really liked it. It was very informative. If you enjoy true crime, if you enjoy women's fiction, if you are a fan of feminist stories, then this is going to be for you. This is more so a journalistic investigation about how the rape kit was created. So if you do plan on picking this up, be gentle with yourself because there are a lot of triggered moments that you'll read about in this story, as you might expect to. It was really short, and I honestly didn't expect myself to be so immersed into a story about a tool like this. We're gonna talk about mythology and fantasy. I'm gonna clump them up into one group. The first being Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. I had put this book off for way too long, and I recommend. I really loved this book. I listened to the audiobook, and I thought the audiobook narrator was very expressive, and the storytelling really was brought to life in this feminist queer retelling. It was really fascinating to now learn and know that Kaikeyi was never the villain in the story. And it sucks that this story has been told for generations, the story of Ramayana, and the villain is always the woman. And I loved how this retelling was turned on its head, and I loved reading from such a powerful woman. If you ever read Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati, perfect comparison. I recommend you read this book if you read that. Vice versa, read them both. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So yes, I recommend this book. I don't normally cry reading stories. I get emotional, but I don't normally physically shed tears, and this book made me cry. This book is about soft and quiet love. This book is about action speaking louder than words. This book is just a queer love story that will break your heart but also make you feel whole. It's a devastating story about what a person will do to protect their loved one, and it's a story also about a well-known god who wants glory and fame, but he also wants love, and sometimes you can't have them both. It was interesting to learn about the beginning of the Trojan War through the lens of Patroclus, and Madeline Miller Saba's writing is absolutely stunning. And I can't wait to pick up Circe because some people are saying it's better than the Song of Achilles. And I don't know, because this was best. This was best. An Ember in the Ashes by Subha Tahir. This is a YA romantasy, fantasy. I am obsessed with, and I need to pick up the next book right away. So safe to say I recommend this book. It's a story about a rebellion in the making. It's a story about two characters from different factions who are trying to find freedom in their own ways. It is YA, but I don't think that our characters act young adult. They don't act immature. They don't act childish. What the characters are going through is just so emotional and tragic. There's trauma that's built up, and it's just such a well-written book. This is a story that has trials in it too, so if you're into trials like Hunger Games, Serpent and the Wings of Night, then you should definitely try picking this book up. What I took away most out of the story is that I am obsessed with our two main characters, Laia and Elias. Probably some of my favorite characters in a story. I could not put this book down, and I haven't felt this way with a romantasy in such a long time. A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen. Yes, recommend. Yes. Yes, yes. This is the book of the year. This is the new romantasy book of the year. It is out now as we speak. So you can get your copy today. Like, go to the bookstore right now, actually watch this video, and then go to the bookstore. My thoughts have not changed since I gave you my currently reading update. I am obsessed with this book. Everything about it. Plot twist after plot twist. Oh my gosh, I love our characters. They actually reminded me still of Elias and Laia. So if you have read Ember in the Ashes, then you should pick this book up because I am obsessed with all four of those characters. I need them to be in a book together. There's slow burn and tension in this story, and what I most appreciate is that yes, it's romance, but it's very story and plot driven with sprinkled in moments of romance. And I really like that in a story, and I felt that same way in Ember in the Ashes. I feel like I'm just comparing both of them constantly, but it's the best representation of two books that I give 5 stars, and because they were so good from a politically driven storytelling perspective, from characters that we can really love and appreciate because we have dual point of view and we can understand and feel what they're going through. Just a lot of similarities. This one specifically though, I love the magic system. This first book just came out, which means who knows when we're gonna get the sequel. I believe that this is going to be a trilogy. A book that I DNF'd, and by that I mean I maybe read 5 pages and decided that this book was not going to be for me, is An Exquisite Ruin by Adrienne May. I was gifted this book by Gallery Books, and I feel really bad for not giving this a shot, but this just does not seem like a book that I want to read. And I think I felt that in my gut when I read the back. If I don't want to read something, I don't want to read something, and I don't want to read something, and the something is this, so I'm not going to read it. So I can't tell you if I recommend it or not. We have one more genre, which is fiction, and I have 3 books. The first one being Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. I would say maybe leaning more towards yes. I think certain people are going to enjoy this book. This is not a romance. It's more so a contemporary fiction with a little bit of romance sprinkled into it. We follow one main character, and it's about her years working with someone that she is in love with, and that's where the romance comes into play. This is a lot about her going through life, learning to accept who she is, learning to be independent, and learning to figure out how to move on in a lot of different ways, both romantically and not. The closest comparison I would say to this book is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I Who Have Never Known Ben by Jacqueline Hartman. I would say yes, maybe yes. It's not for everybody, and I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little bit to get into just because I don't read these types of dystopian stories. It's super short, it's like 230 pages or so, but it's really just a story about found family, womanhood, messed up societies, and how women are treated. It's a story about isolation and grief and just feeling alone. That's all I can really say, because I think everyone should go into this book knowing little to nothing about it. That's how I felt. And after reading the book, you'll still be left with so many unanswered questions that you don't necessarily want answers to. It's a different type of horror that deals with survival and trying to live with the unknown. I'm being so vague. And if you've read this book, you know why I'm being so vague. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. This last book is We Love to Run by Stephanie Reentz. I was gifted this book by the publisher, and I actually DNF'd this book around 50%. I think I got pretty far. At first I found it to be really interesting. It's more a story about how sports affect women mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I was excited to read it just because I'm also in my running era again. And I was reading it while running on the treadmill or walking on the treadmill. I was just getting really bored. There were too many characters for me to keep track of. And I felt like moving forward would do nothing for me. It's not fair for me to give an author a bad review just because I forced myself to read something and then I'd already have those negative feelings towards that book. You feel? Those are the 12 books that I read in June. I think I said 11 when I was introing my reading wrap up. No, gotta give myself credit. I read 12 books. I DNF'd 3 books. Overall, such a wonderful reading month. I had so many highs and so many books that I genuinely really liked and absolutely loved. I'm gonna end this video here. It's been long enough. I hope you liked this style of video. I hope you liked this review style as well. Let me know what you think. I will see you in another video next week. Have a great day. Bye.